Hey everybody, welcome. This is Mom of Three. Thanks for joining. All right, y'all. Before court today, I just wanted to come in and give y'all an update. I don't know if you guys have been following this case, but this case has turned into a lot of clips, rumors, speculations, fighting, arguing, division, and definitely sides have been taken, um, whether it was a choice or forced, and a lot of the actual details are definitely getting lost. Good morning, Blueberry. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in. So, if you're new here, this is your full breakdown. If you've been here from the beginning, this is your refresher. I know some people, believe it or not, to this day don't even know about this story. I know it's hard to believe. Unless you're like on YouTube and stuff, a lot of people don't even know about this story or have been even following the case. I know I brung it to my channel when it first happened, and because of all the back and forth in these YouTube streets, I just left it alone because I'm not here to be arguing with people over something that happened that's so tragic. Like, to me, that's ridiculous. All the arguing, certain lies, speculations. People are a lot of people are just, let's be honest, people are just talking out their ass because they're looking for that engagement. And whatever, I guess it's working for a lot of people's channels, but when it comes down to somebody losing their life, I don't I don't think that that's okay. I'd rather know the facts of what's actually going on, you know, instead of just, lies just because you're trying to gain engagement and things like that and to be known in the YouTube streets. But I digress. That's dumb. Hey sis, beautiful. How are you? Happy Wednesday. So, and if you're listening in the background, this might be the moment you want to, pay attention because this case is layered. Um, so let me know in the chat, have you been following this case from the start or are you just catching up? If you're watching the replay, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching the replay. I greatly appreciate you. And I greatly appreciate all the likes. If you shared, thank you for sharing. And please subscribe. Thanks, sis. Thank you for being here. Yes, so if you're coming in the chat, please double tap that screen. If this is the first time here, please hit that subscribe button. So let's get into it. Today is the day, guys. If you don't know, Holly Johnson was charged with Romika Meeks' murder. Um, she has been to court and her bond was denied. But today she will be going back to court. And I'm just here to let people know about the incident, what happened, that tragic day, and everything that led up to today. And then, of course, later on or tomorrow, most likely tomorrow, because I know these YouTube streets are gonna be crazy today. But we'll see. The question right now is, will she go to trial? Will they take a plea? Right now we do know that she's pleading not guilty and she's claiming self-defense. So we'll see what happens, you know? We'll see what the prosecutors present to the court, and we'll go from there. But today I'm just refreshing everybody about what happened that tragic day. Please, like I said, as you're coming in, my name is Mom of Three. I appreciate you guys listening in. Please double tap that screen so I know that you're here, and engage if you would like to. Hit that subscribe button as well. So let's go back. The incident happened September 8th of this year. This was a regular school morning in the South Loop of Chicago. Ramika Blackman had just dropped her child off at school, something she had likely done many times before. Good morning, fantastic. Hey, I'm the survivor. Thanks for coming in, guys. Happy Wednesday. So yeah, I don't know if you guys know about this story. So I'm just refreshing everybody, and let me tell you, this case has the internet streets, the YouTube streets, TikTok, everywhere going crazy. So today is the day that Holly Johnson will be back in court. So I'm just refreshing everybody on this incident. So she had dropped off her child September 8th morning. It was just a regular day. According to the prosecutors, a confrontation happened between Blackman and Holly. You know, there's many speculations that an altercation didn't happen. Then there's speculations that it did happen, you know. So many people are saying so many different things, but I guess we'll really find out what happens if this goes to, you know, trial and things like that. But as of right now, we don't know what happens. Depending on the evidence, the case might be dropped. Who knows? But in my heart of hearts, this is gonna go to trial. But once it goes to trial, that's gonna be another thing because so many people have their opinions on this case. It's like I don't know where it's gonna go from there, because we don't want we want, if this goes to trial and a jury, we want the jury to be able to come to 100% conclusion and be all, you know, in agreement. We don't want a mistrial. It got this far. If it goes that far, we don't want a mistrial. So I don't know what's gonna happen if it does go to court. I mean, go to trial, and and the jury has to make a decision. I don't know. What you guys think about that? So, supposedly words were exchanged, emotions were already high. Prosecutors allege Holly went to her vehicle, retrieved the firearm, returned, and fired multiple shots. Ramika was struck and later, unfortunately, she died from her injuries. You know? Who would have thought that morning that she would have been, she forgot her son's lunch. She had to go back, get her son's lunch, bring it back to him. She happened to bump into her baby daddy, made that U-turn, and who knew that it would end with a fatality, you know? And that's the question many people are asking. Was there anything else that could have been done besides, you know, shooting Ramika that day? Could have Holly just, while she was going into that car for her firearm, could she had just, put her key in the ignition and drove away? For me, yes, I believe that she could have, you know, but there's other people that they believe, in their Second Amendment right. But at that moment, I think if you were able to walk away from quote unquote the fight, you were able to just drive away as well. So that is the thing that's gonna happen, that's gonna determine what happens in court, whether they really see it as self defense, And to me, honestly, It wasn't self-defense. Once you walk away from the fight and go and get the firearm, that's it. You had a chance to retrieve, you know? I don't know if you guys um follow this story, but I am talking about the Ramika Meeks, unaliving. Today is the day that Holly is going to be in court, so I'm just giving a refresher. Hey Rodney, how are you? Happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday. She and him prison time. Hey Charleston, what's up? Happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday. Yes, I do believe that he deserves some jail time too. I'm not going to lie about that. I definitely think that he deserves some jail time as well. Especially if he had his hands on Romika, you know. But today is more about, just giving a refresher. I'm not one of those that are going to get into it with anybody. Everybody has their own opinion on this case, and that's okay, you know. There's enough people in these YouTube streets going against each other and causing division and all that because of this case. And, I'm just bringing it back to my channel because I had left it alone because of all the emotions being so high the last few months. And I'm just going to be here to give the update. And if it does go to trial, yes, I will be, bringing it back to my channel, just to give updates to people. Please double tap the screen as you're coming in. Like, share, comment, subscribe. So, yeah. So this part, is heavy for me because it didn't just happen like late at night. It didn't happen in secret. It happened after a school drop off. And once a firearm enters the situation, there's no rewinding that. You know what I'm saying? So do y'all feel like situations escalate faster now because people don't disengage anymore? People right away, they think because they have the license and they have a right to unalive somebody, you know? Like I said when I first brought this case to my channel, what happened to fighting? You know? What happened to real fighting? If you lose, you win, and you keep it moving. And, middle finger up and keep it going? Why do people feel the need to unalive people now? More than ever. Like, it's not that serious. Especially your baby daddy's baby mama. Like, you guys have children that are brothers. Why would you do that? Why would you telling me you hate somebody that much that you rather see them unalived than to be in your boyfriend's life? That's ridiculous to me. It's just ridiculous. I stay in Chicago, no trial, because the court have all the proof of everything of what they both did that day. Yep. So we'll see what's gonna happen later on. I know everybody that is into this case is very like anxious to find out what's gonna happen. You know? So now let's talk about the part people don't want to say out loud. The relationship dynamic between all three. This wasn't two strangers. These were two women connected to the same man. When you have shared history, shared emotions, and shared children through one person, that creates tension, whether people admit it or not. You know, they may have never met like in real life, person to person, but they have exchanged many, messages and things on social media. So there was, high tension between them already. You know, jealousy, resentment, hurt feelings. Those things don't just disappear just because time passes, you know? Especially if your baby daddy is caught in the middle, going between both of you. You know, that's who they should have been mad at. Not themselves or not to each other. They should have been mad at him. They shouldn't have even gave them him their energy. They should have walked away and let him be for the streets like he is. My opinion. Everything I say is my opinion. You know, nothing is factual. And it's just my opinion and research, you know, etc. And I am just, updating, refreshing everybody on what happened and leading up to today's court date. So we'll see what happens later, but that's just how I feel right now. So, hey Kwani, how are you, sis? Happy Wednesday. So now let me be very clear. I'm not accusing Carlos of a crime, but if you know, you know. But I do believe he was in the middle of both women, and that matters. Being the common denominator between two emotionally charged women is dangerous. Sometimes men don't realize how much tension they create just by existing in both spaces. You know, I've seen situations where the man doesn't have to say much. His presence alone causes conflict. But in my opinion, he was definitely the common denominator and he is not innocent in this situation. I think that, he went back and forth between both women, you know, and that's what created so much tension between them, you know? Do you guys think being in the middle of two emotional relationship can escalate things? I definitely think so, you know? Um, should it have got this far? I don't think so. I definitely don't think so. I think that they should have, like I said, freaking, even if they had to tag team him, they should have realized that he was just being a man, you know? A man with bad intentions, a man that wanted his cake and eat it too, you know? He wanted his cake and he wanted to eat it too, you know? I do think that he cared for one more than the other, and he didn't want one of them to walk away from him. He wanted to deal with both of them. That's just my opinion. But one thing that confused and upset a lot of people early on was why wasn't Holly arrested right away? Police questioned her at the scene and released her while the investigation continued. That caused outrage, confusion, and distrust. But, most people know that arrests are based on what prosecutors believe they can prove, not just public emotion. But I can't lie. For a little while, I was very like, I thought that no arrest was going to be made. Like, even though in a way I did feel deep down that she had to be charged for just a little tiny bit. I thought that the justice I mean you know the justice system was gonna fail Romika and her family. Hopefully this situation will open eyes to anyone who wants their cake and eat it too. Hopefully, but unfortunately, you already know. That's just something that has always happened, and unfortunately is going to keep happening. I wanted to open the eyes of the women involved, that don't let this, don't let a man put you between each other. Realize that he is the problem, not any of you. Realize that the man is the problem. Weeks later, after, the authorities kept reviewing evidence and the witness statements, prosecutors made their decision. Holly was arrested and charged with one count of first degree murder. Yep, let me repeat that. One count. Not six, not multiple. The 6 counts rumor comes from people misreading the legal paperwork. Um yeah. So it's one count, but it's just different branches, I could say, of that counts. That's why it seems like there's 6 counts. But Holly has requested bond multiple times. Each time the judge has denied the bond. Bond denial is not a conviction, but it is a statement about risk and seriousness. Judges don't deny bond repeatedly unless they believe the situation warrants caution. And last time when she went to court, the judge said that he doesn't see how that was self defense. She had a choice. She walked away. When she walked away and she made that decision to walk back with the firearm, that's the choice she made. Was it a right one? Was it a wrong one? That's not for us to decide. That's for the judge and the prosecutors and whoever else that makes that decision to decide. Of course, we have our opinions, you know, but it's not up to us. We're not there. We're not going to be in that courtroom. We're not going to be in the judge's chambers. So we'll just have to wait to see. And I don't know why so many people are going, against one another because of this tragic incident. People should have a right to their own opinions. And if I'm your supporter and I have a different opinion than you, that shouldn't make you talk to me any kind of way. It shouldn't cause a division, you know? But unfortunately, this case has gotten, you know, people's emotions so high that it has caused so much division. It's unbelievable. Is a lot more case like this with younger kids too that doing the same thing over jealousy and males. Yep, that's facts. You know, I hope people, I know a lot of people don't like to look at the news and stuff like that, but I hope when they see this, even if it's not an actual news channel, if they're watching it on social media, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, I hope they're paying attention, because you don't want it to be you over jealousy, over a man that's playing both sides. Like, come on. These women should have been better than that, you know? But I guess when your emotions are involved, it, you know, your emotions and your heart, you feel like you're in competition, which, I don't know. I don't see why it got this far. And now look what happens. Now, Holly has her baby. She is pregnant with another one, and now she is in jail. Not knowing her fate, not knowing her future. Is she going to have that baby in prison? Or is she gonna be able to, you know, are the charges gonna be dropped, and is she gonna be able to continue to live her life outside of prison? Who knows? Do you agree with the bond being denied in this case? Let me know. Whether you're in the chat now, or if you're watching on the replay. So Holly Johnson has not pleaded guilty. Has pleaded not guilty. She is maintaining a self-defense claim, but prosecutors strongly dispute that claim. Self-defense becomes complicated when someone leaves a situation and returns with a weapon. She had a choice. She made that choice. Instead of walking away and just getting in that car and leaving, or getting in her baby daddy's car and leaving, or even going for a damn walk, she chose to go to her car, retrieve the weapon, and come back and pow pow. And now Romika Meeks is not here with her family, with her son, you know. And now Holly has to face the consequences. That's sad. I'm the Survivor says, yes, she is going to have the baby in prison, you know? And that's some sad shit. I couldn't, I can't imagine being pregnant in prison, you know? Uncomfortable on that cot, not being able to eat when you want to eat, just being behind bars, period, in a gloomy place. But she made her choice that day, you know? Was her hate for Ramika that bad, you know? Even if there was an altercation, was it that bad that she had to unalive Ramika? No matter what I hear people talking and arguing, I still don't see a good reason for that happening that day. Sorry. I just don't. Thanks, Fantastic. No one should lose their lives only when the good who brought us in this world takes us out. Only, yeah. Only the God. Only the Lord. Facts. You know? So at the last court date, Holly appeared again for a bond and pretrial hearing. And once again, bond was denied. So, she remains in custody. Today, she is going back to court. The tension in the courtroom was thick that day. Emotions were high on all sides. You know? Her bond was denied. She had to spend Christmas and New Year's in prison, in jail. You know? That had to be freaking sad for her and her family. But she had to face her consequences. People have to understand. You have a choice, you know? Once you walk away, you had that choice to not go back, to not use that weapon. To me, self-defense is if you are in, like, if Romika had a weapon up to her, then that would be self-defense. You know? If Romika was strangling her and the weapon was already on her, then that was self-defense. But to have a fight, to get separated, and then to go in your car, grab your weapon, and then come and pow pow the woman, To me, that was not self-defense anymore once she walked away. But like I said, everybody has their opinion. Hey, Jazzy sis. Is stupid when she never heard or see her. Yes, right? You don't even know this person in real life. You just heard about her. You know that's your baby daddy, baby mama. You know, like I said, maybe she, I mean, I didn't say this, but maybe she was jealous of her, you know, the love they had between each other. You know, even though allegedly Ramika was trying to get away from him, she no longer wanted to be in that toxic relationship. You know, she was letting Holly have him, but we'll never know. The only people that know is Romika, Los, Holly, and God. They are the only ones know what really happened between them. You know, that fatal day and prior to that day. You know, whatever we see on social media, we don't really know how it was between them. We just don't. But I do know that he's the common denominator. And I'm hoping, I really hope that he sees some charges too. Because it wasn't just Holly, you know? He was feeding her information as well. He was feeding her stuff to get her to that point to hate Ramika that much. You can't tell me otherwise. Sorry. It definitely was not self-defense. I really believe that, Jazzy. Yep, the male had made a rap video about it before it happened. Yeah, and just like he even, you know, warned her, she's gonna go get her gun. You know, she's gonna go get her weapon. Like, come on now. The question is, was it premeditated? That day, did they know what they were gonna do? Did they have it planned? That's the question for the authorities to figure out, for the judge, for the prosecutors to fight in court, and for her defense attorney, you know, to fight for her. So that day, the last court day, I don't know if you guys know, most of you do know, but you know, outside the courthouse, what happened after the hearing? A disturbance broke out. Videos began circulating showing an altercation involving a man people online identified as Los. You know, supposedly some people from Romika's side jumped him, but I don't know. I keep looking for it, and you know, I although I think he confirmed it, there's no official police confirmation, but we already know what happened. What we do know is that emotions were high and law enforcement stepped in. I agree, and she made a post on her Facebook about having to shoot someone as well. Yep. The court got proof that she left him with someone else, the new man still with the family. Yep. So that day, you know, I'm just, I hope that Romika's family today is able to be, you know, relaxed and not get into any altercations. You know, they need to, I know emotions are high right now, but they need to be there for justice for Romika. You know, they need to not get themselves in trouble, you know, because of their emotions running high. You know, I know they hate to see his face. I know they hate to see her face. But all that matters right now is that justice is to be served, you know? So anything, you know, any speculations is not important right now. It's the facts that matter, you know? Whether additional charges have been added, um I've been reading that people have actually been taking it out of context and they're not reading the paperwork correctly. So I'm not sure if, you know, there are 6 counts or people are just reading the paperwork incorrectly. But we'll find out everything today after court. That's all that matters. What happens today is what matters, you know? So if it's not confirmed by the court records or police, I'm not stating it as a fact. I'm saying allegedly, your opinion, their opinion. But some people, they like to sound real smart just so people could think that they know what they're talking about, you know? But that doesn't work for everybody. A lot of people see through the bullshit, you know? So you can start sound educated and smart and oh, you know the law and you read through all the documents, but that still don't mean shit. You are not a lawyer, you know? You weren't there that day. So what you're saying is just your opinion as well. Nothing you say is facts, no matter how smart you're trying to sound. Okay? It's your opinion as well. So, unless you were there that day, it doesn't matter how smart you try to sound, how factual you try to sound, how you try to manipulate people. It's not working for everybody. But it has worked for a lot of people. And I just, would hope that people would use their own, mind and not believe just because somebody sounds, educated and like they know what they're talking about, that they're right. So now I'm going to say this carefully, you know, and you don't have to agree with me. I personally do not believe Romika's death was unavoidable. I really think that it was avoidable. And I've been saying that since I first, came out with this story back when it happened. And I'm going to keep saying it now. This Romika's death was definitely avoidable. It didn't have to happen. Hey, Mikey. So yes, it was unavoidable. I'm sorry. It was it was avoidable. What the hell? So yes, I do believe it was avoidable. I believe there were opportunities for her to walk away. Holly could have walked away. Yes, Romika could have walked away also. They both could have walked away or not even got into it. If Romika was arguing with her baby daddy, Holly should have let her. You know? That was her baby daddy too. You know? So I believe both of them could have driven off. But I believe, Holly's the one that went into the car and came back with a weapon. So once a weapon enters a situation, everything changes for me. The way it went down, that's why I formed my opinion. She walked away. She had the chance to keep walking, but she chose to come back with the weapon. You're right, Mikey. They could have talked it out peacefully, but they already had tension between them. So at that moment, I guess they couldn't. But like I said, they should have just walked away, and let it happen. That's why I wanted to make people aware, Don't let anybody get in between you and then for one of you to unalive the other. Because now your children do not have their mother or father because they are not even letting him see his kid. So one is 6 feet under, unfortunately. One is behind bars, and one is just roaming the streets, probably to become toxic to the next one. You know? Who knows what the hell he's doing? Besides coming on social media and getting on panels and stuff. Like this shit is just a regular occurrence, you know? But it's very sad, you know? So I definitely believe Holly could have driven off. Romika could have driven off, you know? Some people say, oh, why did she make the U turn and stop? Because she wanted to talk to her baby daddy. What's the damn problem? It's not her fault that Holly was there. It was right down the block from his house. It was right across the street from her son's school. She had a right. You know, that was a public street. The question is, was it self defense? You know, and that's gonna be the most important factor in this case. Was it premeditated? Was it avoidable? Was it self defense? Those are the three questions that matter. All right, Mikey. Thanks for passing through. I appreciate you. Exactly, John. The only people that lost are the children. You're right. Now they don't have their mom with them, you know? The baby is probably, I don't even know if the baby is even a year old yet, and she's pregnant with another one. And then Romika's son totally lost his mom. He's not able to, even if he has to visit behind bars, he's not able to visit his mom. His mom is no longer with us, you know? Wow, John, sorry to hear that. Yeah, that freaking sucks, you know? And this is very tragic, you know? And what's even sad, like on these social media streets, all the he said, she said, oh, I'm gonna, oh, you know, I'm reading all the documents and I'm smart and I'm educated, I'm this and that, just to justify their actions, you know? Sir, that's not okay, you know? And no, once she walked away, I'm sorry, it was not self defense. I don't know how they're gonna fight that one, but once she walked away, she had a choice. So I really don't think that's gonna fly in court. So, who do you feel was in the wrong, guys? Who do you feel was in the wrong? Do you feel Holly was in the wrong? Do you feel Romika? Do you feel Los? Do you feel all three of them? You know? Who do you feel was in the wrong? Thank you for coming in. I'm giving a refresher about the Romika Meeks Unaliving by Holly Johnson. She will be going to court today, and we'll see what happens, you know, later on. Will this go to trial? You know, will it not go to trial? Will the judge make his decision? We will find out later on. Kwani says Carlos and Holly. John says both in the wrong, could have both walked away. I agree with both of you. You know, Carlos and Holly definitely had, you know, I don't know. I think that they had some kind of conversation before it happened, but, you know, that's just my opinion, you know. So please double tap the screen, guys. If you're watching the replay, please hit that like button for me. Please hit that subscribe button for me. Share. You know, people need to be aware. You know, stop arguing with the other woman. Just stop. Realize that there's a common denominator and that you both are not the problem. It's the man that was the problem. Sorry. It's the man that is the problem, you know? I think they waited for her. Why were they waiting? I know, right? I mean, let some people say it. They were, being lovey-dovey, saying bye to each other. But who knows, you know? So, do you believe this was self-defense? Do you think it was premeditated? Could ha could it have been avoided? Do you think Carlos being in the middle escalated the situation? Do you think that he was sweet talking both of them behind the scenes? Do you think that the court is handling this correctly? Do you think, answer my poll up here, will this case go to trial? Who's anxious here? Who's dying to know? Oh, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't use that word. But who really wants to know, you know, who wants to see the outcome today? Are you guys ready for the outcome? You carry a weapon, it's with intent. Facts. For some reason, Holly hated Romika. Yeah, she hated seeing, that Romika still had a piece of Carlos' heart. She probably felt that she never had Carlos 100%. You know, she never had his heart 100%. She never had his time. She just never had him the way she wanted him. So she, hated Romika. She had to see those pictures of, Romika and Carlos and her son, you know, together on the holidays when he chose to be with Romika and not her that holiday, and I'm sure a lot of different things happen, leading up to that situation. So today's court date is about procedure. It's not gonna be a verdict, you know? We're watching for motions, scheduling, and how the judge continues to handle the bond. I believe this is gonna be a long road, you know? But many of us are invested and we wanna find out. We wanna see the right outcome. And I'll definitely be watching, I'll be listening, I'll be watching, I'm ready, but I really hope that we do get justice for Romika. No matter what, to me, this was avoidable. This was definitely avoidable. She should still be here. She should have been able to, you know, um, spend the holidays with her child. She should have been here Christmas morning with her child. She should have been ringing in the new year with her child. But unfortunately, she didn't. Unfortunately, he had to spend his first Christmas and New Year's and Halloween without his mom. Without the one that used to dress up with him. The one that loved on him so much. You can see the love just through pictures. You know? You could tell they were best friends. You know? Mom and son duo. Her first child. Her only child. You can just tell. All right, fantastic. Thanks for being here. Yes, justice for Romika, justice for the child, justice for her family. You know, I know this case is heavy because it's real. You know, this ain't about sides. This isn't about a saga. This is about a mother that lost her life. Children are affected. You know, another woman sits in jail awaiting judgment. So today we watch, we're going to verify what happens. We're not going to just jump to conclusions. How are you, cowboy? Thanks for being here. So, yes. So, this was, if you came in late, this was just a refresher on the Ramika Mix unaliving case. Hallie Johnson will be seen in court today, and we will know further details later on, and we will see what happens next. You know, will this go to trial? Will the charges be dropped? Will she get to go home? Will she get to go home? We will see. But in my heart, I feel like she's not going anywhere. And all I have to say is I really want justice for Romika. So thank you for being here and having these conversations with me respectfully. Um, you know, like I said, this case is heavy. I know emotions are very high. Everybody has their own opinions, but right is right and wrong is wrong. Somebody was unalive that didn't deserve to be unalive. You know, to me, I'm going to end it like this. To me, it was not self defense. To me, it was murder. The question is, because of the charge, which is first degree murder, the question now remains, was it premeditated? But thank you everybody that joined me today. Thank you everybody that's going to watch the replay. You know, I'll definitely be giving you guys an update when we find out what happens today in court. So please be on the lookout. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell. I will see you guys later. Happy Wednesday.